Volcanion hits the field of play. It looks like we're going to be unable to farm down before the departing charge moves reach. We're going to invest that Protect Shield before fully Incinerate farming down. The opponent sends back out Turtonator. And if this opponent don't know about that Earth Power coverage, they're about to find out. Welcome back to the channel. My, do we have a banger of a battle submission from my friend, RealWavyNSaucy. And he is bringing some very, very exclusive footage of a Pokemon that is near impossible to obtain, and that is Volcanion. Currently, only a handful of trainers have this mythical Pokemon. It's the exclusive reward for the in-person Go Fest event. However, that's not what makes it difficult to obtain in the Great League. To get this thing to squeeze in, you need absolutely horrendous IVs. I'm going to place RealWavyNSaucy's IVs on the screen now, and you'll see what I mean. RealWavyNSaucy just so happened to catch the worst possible research reward of Volcanion, a 10-10-10. However, it still maxes out at 1,491 CP. So out of the 216 possible combinations, only 5 are eligible. What makes matters even worse is mythical, it cannot be traded. For those of you that like some statistics, you've got a 2.3% chance of getting one that can actually fit in the Great League. However, if you don't get one, are you missing out? Right off the bat, it's got a very interesting typing. It's the very first ever Water and Fire-type Pokémon released in the world of Pokémon Go. As with any new typing, we need to figure out if it's got a good typing or not. It's only got 3 weaknesses, that is to electric, ground and rock. The combination of water and fire neutralises your vulnerabilities to both grass and water. Your fire typing defensively still keeps your resistance to both bug and fairy. And this is where things get really interesting. You double resist fire, double resist ice, as well as double resist steel. So far things are looking good, but there's one little problem. If you're a mythical Pokemon at level 15 in the Great League, you are very squishy. This Pokemon has a near identical stat product to Sneasel. Yeah, we've run that thing before, and let me tell you, if you even look at it the wrong way, you faint. The last thing to cover with this Pokemon is its moveset. Quick moves, you've got a choice of 3. Takedown, horrendous. Water Gun, quite underwhelming, but you never know. They've buffed Fury Cutter, maybe it'll become viable in the not so distant future. And then you've got Incinerate, arguably the best quick move in the game, 4 damage and 4 energy per turn. The only trade-off is it's a very clunky, very slow 5-turn move. As for charge moves, you've only got a choice of 4. Hydro Pump at 75 energy. Yeah, that isn't the move you're looking for. Earth Power and Overheat, which we're opting for, both 55. The only other move it learns is Sludge Bomb. I actually think Sludge Bomb is probably the move I'd run, and the reason for that is it pairs quite nicely with Incinerate. You alternate between 3 and 2. Whereas Overheat and Earth Power respectively is going to be 3 Incinerates every single time. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. RealWavyNSaucy will be leading Shadow Swampert for the duration of today's shoutcast. And in battle number 1, Shadow Swampert stares down Clodsire, the opponent save switches into Gliscopod, and we opt to send out Volcanion. Oh boy, how much does Aqua Jet do? Oof! Holy cow. I knew we were glassy, but an Aqua Jet almost picks up the one-hit KO. Volcanion just about able to hang on, fire off the Overheat and obtain us a shield advantage here in the mid-game matchup. RealWavyNSaucy sends out Pidgeot. Pidgeot can survive any one move, and the opponent is never ever going to Fury Cut a farm down Pidgeot. Pidgeot looks for the farm down, the opponent not wanting to concede the farm down, send out Fortress. Holy, if we would have actually sent Pidgeot into the Gliscopod, we now would have had Volcanion aligned against Fortress. And I really hope we see that at some point down the line. Pidgeot going to be investing that Protect Shield. The opponent go for the Sand Tomb. Debuffing our defense. Pidgeot undeterred, going to fire off yet another Air Cutter. Force the final Protect Shield, and Swampert hits the field of play. Swampert overfarms, fires off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will be removing them from the field of play. Down goes Fortress, back out comes Gliscopod. Can we Mudshot farm down this bug-type Pokemon? RealWavyNSaucy invests the Protect Shield. Once again, the opponent pivots out, not wanting to concede the farm down, sending out Clodsire. Clodsire going to be greeted with the first Hydro Cannon. Swampert is doubled up. The second Hydro Cannon will be removing them from the field of play. Get that Clodsire off my screen. Switch timers up. We pivot into Pidgeot, and one gust is going to be all she wrote. GG's. Heading into the next battle, this time we see Fortress in the lead position. A neutral matchup, Swampert has a heavy pace and advantage, but fast move pressure, very much with a Bug Steel Pokemon, due to the buff to Bug Bite this season. We fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing the first Protect Shield of the game. Swampert races to the next Hydro Cannon, the opponent all down one Protect Shield. The second one lands, and Fortress loses almost all its HP. The opponent is going to have to full send the Earthquake. They go for the Rock Tomb bait. RealWavyNSaucy pivots into Volcanion, able to snipe down Fortress's remaining HP. Out comes Clodsire. Volcanion is a new Pokemon. Potentially the opponent doesn't know the moveset. Earth Power hits for super effective and a lot of super effective damage at that. Clodsire is insanely thick. The opponent throws a charge move at absolutely horrendous timing, giving us a free Incinerate sneak. Unfortunately, that still doesn't allow the full farm down at RealWavyNSaucy. Going to go all in on Volcanion. We leave absolutely loaded and out comes Greninja. Very nice fast move timing. One Incinerate and the charge move, only giving the opponent one free turn. Earth Power lands. Trainer, what are you saving that shield for? We see the quick switch into Pidgeot. Hydro Cannon doesn't knock out, but the Snot Gust certainly does, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see a problematic lead. We're actually looking to utilise Pidgeot on the Say Switch, which is somewhat of a questionable Say Switch right now, especially in a meta where Dedenne has rose to prevalence. Thankfully, the opponent has no hard punish for our Pidgeot. We farm to the Brave Bird bait with the Air Cutter, and there is the boost. We see the instant shield deployed. The opponent baits with the Aqua Tail, but undeterred. RealWavyNSaucy going to go straight for the next Air Cutter, and down goes the Quagman. Pidgeot still very healthy and attack boosted. Back out comes Altaria, and this gust damage is disgusting. Altaria, very bulky, we're getting torn to shreds. RealWavyNSaucy looks to reach the next one. Awful, we just fall short. Despite Pidgeot nearly taking out two Pokemon, this Altaria is absolutely loaded. We've got no real way of soaking this energy, or no fast move pressure into him either. We send out Swampert, the first Sky Attack rocks us below half health, and right on cue, there's the second. RealWavyNSaucy trusted in Volcanion on clean-up duty. Volcanion hits the field of play, and out comes Fickersby. Is this a winnable endgame? Let's see what Volcanion can do. We're going to respect a potential Scorching Sand. The opponent doesn't bait, so that is a huge shield deployed. We're going to go for the Earth Power bait. If this goes shielded, we need to hope an Overheat knocks out one of the thickest Pokemon in the format. You can see the Incinerate damage has already gotten below half health. Surely this knocks out. Overheat does pick up the knockout. Can we Incinerate? Farm down Altaria. Oh. No, we cannot. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see a fantastic lead as Swampert stares down Clodsire. The opponent Say Switch into Greninja. RealWavyNSaucy looks to call the bait, and that is a huge call on our part. We're going to shield at the next Night Slash here. I'd like to see two Gusts, then the Air Cutter for optimal fast move timing. We set off a one Gust, giving the opponent 2 free turns. Air Cutter, force to protection as the opponent looks to make a play at taking back Switch. If this next Gust actually knocks out, which I believe it will, the opponent would have needed DRE to get that move off, so we would have threw it better timing. We could have actually saved the shield. However, it is what it is. It's just me being fussy. 4 turn into 3 turn is quite awkward. Back out comes Clodsire. We fire off the Brave Bird. Brave Bird, despite being an absolute nuke, is easily survivable for Clodsire. We pivot into Swampert, not wanting to see the farm down. It's kind of interesting that the opponent's opting to stay in. They fire off the Earthquake. The opponent continues to stay in. What the heck is in the back? The opponent is staying in this matchup. Swampert fires off the Hydro Cannon. Down goes Clodsire, and it starts to make sense. Out comes Diggersby. How we wish we still had that shield. RealWavyNSaucy is going to need a catch to win this battle. Ooh! What a play. We wait 4 turns there, able to catch the Scorching Sands, back onto Pidgeot. Volcanion re-enters the arena. Is this Overheat range? Overheat! No! What an absolute roller coaster of emotions, but unfortunately this one is going to end in heartbreak and defeat. But what a way to get himself back in the game. What a play there. Heading into the next battle, we see Melmetal in the lead position. The opponent opts to stay in. RealWavyNSaucy takes the initiative, fires off the Hydro Cannon, instantly putting them into the red health range. This is very likely a superpower, so you could shield the first one, although I don't believe the opponent's going to make 2. Swampert withstands the damage. The opponent then sends out Primate. Swampert going to fire off the next Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon forces the Protect Shield. If the opponent would have farmed down there, things could have got scary, but the opponent actually opts to throw the Rage Fist, and we have one very hard check for them in the form of our Pidgeot. I know we're in the early ranks, week 1 of the season, but the opponent's making all kinds of misplays here. First, they throw an alignment, using a 2-turn move into a 4-turn move. You just want to throw an odd number. And the second thing they've done wrong is not even farming up, looking to bait a potential Ice Punch or Close Combat. Oh, there's the Brave Bird landing, and that game is already over. Heading into the next battle. The new season is less than a week old. We've had a fantastic move update, and already people are hiding back behind PvPoke's #1 ranked pick, Clodsire. Swampert is feasting good today. The opponent Say switches into Primate Blink, and you might miss it as Pidgeot makes very quick work of it. The opponent sends out Gator. Trainer, that is a decision you might live to regret. My top tip for today is do not send out something using a ghost type quick move into a loaded normal type. Despite Brave Bird triple debuff on our defense, these Shadow Claws are literally doing nothing. RealWavyNSaucy recognizes he can just invest that Protect Shield, and we could probably sweep the entire team with Pidgeot. Are we going to invest the Protect Shield here? RealWavyNSaucy thinking about it. He goes all in on the bird and Gator straight in and straight out. We bank the air cut off the road, send out Swampert, the opponent playing it out to the very bitter end, but win cons at this point are essentially RealWavyNSaucy lagging out or him having a heart attack. Clearly, as I received this battle submission, he's alive and well, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see some nice spice on display. As Swampert stares down Turtonator, the opponent safe switches into Malamar, and this economy, with all these bug buffs, this opponent clearly has big balls. The Malamar safe switch goes relatively unanswered, as Pidgeot isn't really the hardest check. We fire off the air cutter, forcing a Protect Shield, but the opponent is able to outpace to the next foul play, and foul play will be moving the bird from the field of play. Are we going to send out Volcanion? Yes, we are. Volcanion hits the field of play. We'll be looking for that one shield, full Incinerate farm down, and if Turtonator returns, it might be in for one hell of a nasty surprise. We shield up the superpower. Turtonator re-enters the arena. Does the opponent know the moveset? We full send the Earth Power. Earth Power. Monstrous damage. Quick switch into Swampert. And Swampert's able to snipe with a few mud shots. The opponent doesn't want that work. They send out Jumpluff and instantly resign the match. Heading into the next battle. We see Toxicroak in the lead position, running this new quick move that I recently acquired of Poison Sting. I've tried this Pokemon out myself and it is so much fun. Taking only 5 Poison Stings to the Dynamic Punch. Interesting enough, this opponent is running Mud Bomb. I personally think you should run Dynamic Punch and Shadow Ball, as Fighting and Ghost, the combination, is currently unresisted in Pokemon Go. We aggressively send out Pidgeot, we're able to get off one gust, doing around a third of the health, and out comes Azumarill. All of Brave Bird rocks Big Bad Azumarill instantly into the red health range. We see the instant no shield deployed. Pidgeot made a very brief cameo appearance, but it was a pure reign of terror, outputting a lot of damage in a very brief period. RealWavyNSaucy sends out Swampert. Can Swampert Mudshot farm down Azumarill? Unfortunately, we cannot. Azumarill survives on fractional HP. RealWavyNSaucy shields up the Mud Bomb. What is on my screen? Out comes Venomoth. Venomoth going to be greeted with the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon forced the final Protect Shield. No, look at the Incinerate damage. Absolutely disgusting. RealWavyNSaucy still has a shield to hide behind. It looks like he's going to save it for the potential move Toxicroak might reach. We're able to farm down, leaving insanely low. Back out comes Azumarill. Azumarill gets Incinerated farm down. We leave with the Overheat, and Overheat is going to be massive overkill. Poor old Toxicroak, man. It was so young. Heading into the next battle. We lead Shadow Swampert into Primate. Primate lightning fast. The opponent actually allow us to strike first, which is always nice. When I use Primate, I personally would just YOLO a close combat and 5 and make the opponent make the first shielding decision of the game. RealWavyNSaucy instantly no shields. The opponent nuke us through 2 protection. We send out Pidgeot. They've already shown close combat, so I'm anticipating the one shield and farm down. RealWavyNSaucy not interested in shielding up Pidgeot, and Pidgeot gets rocked deep into the red. It's Volcanion versus the world, but unfortunately that is a Blastoise on our screen. So here we should go for one Incinerate and the charge move. The opponent actually pivot out into Drifblim. Is this Drifblim going to be straight in and straight out? Yes, they are. Overheat picks up the one hit KO. Can RealWavyNSaucy still pull off this game? A catch before this incoming charge move would have been nice. RealWavyNSaucy burns the final Protect Shield, commits to good timing, one Incinerate and the Earth Power. The opponent's already seen their balloon get popped, so they should force the final Protect Shield, and it does. We pivot into Pidgeot. Pidgeot gets rollout farm down. The opponent leaves with the charge move, and unfortunately this one is going to end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Charjabug in the lead position. Definitely where the team wants to see it is. We've got 2 things weak to electric in the back. RealWavyNSaucy going to strike first, firing off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon goes unshielded, and I'm anticipating us going for the same play. No shield on this X-Scissor, and then throwing the next Hydro Cannon, winning CMP. Swampert and Charjabug will pace to that next move at the same speed, and RealWavyNSaucy does indeed throw the Hydro Cannon, winning that charge attack priority. Out comes Dugong, we pivot into Pidgeot. ABA Electric, you've got to be kidding me. RealWavyNSaucy just going to YOLO the Brave Bird and look to minimise the farm. Brave Bird, even resisted, does respectable damage, but this silly electric fish gets a monstrous farm down. Volcanion double resist ice damage, but Dugong Likely runs Duron. I've seen a few on Liquidation, but Duron would certainly come very close to knocking us out, as we've got a 1600 stat product. We send out Swampert, Investor, Protect, Shield. We've now only got one to hide behind. How do we win this game? Do we look to call a bait? We do look to call a bait. Please be an icy win. The opponent full send their drill run, and despite us double resisting ice, I think we are going to get Ice Shard farm down. We full send the overheat, forces the Protect Shield, and we are going to resign the game. Heading into the next battle, we see Gliscopod in the lead position. This time we're going to save switch into Volcanion, and out comes Corsola. Right off the bat, YOLO in the overheat. Overheat! Oh my days. This thing hits like a truck. We see the instant shield deployed. RealWavyNSaucy smells the opportunity to put his Pidgeot onto that Gliscopod, and that is not an opportunity he is going to turn down. We do leave down a Protect Shield, but with residual energy good to go, the opponent sends out Corviknight, which is certainly a decision. Overheat should give us shield parity, and it does exactly that. RealWavyNSaucy actually gives up switch, sending out Swampert. I'm not sure if I agree with that play. I think the safe play would be let Volcanion go down, align Swampert onto this Corviknight, wait for the opponent to switch, and hard punish him with Pidgeot. The opponent actually makes a savage catch the Hydro Cannon back onto Gliscopod. Can Swampert reach one further move? Oof. We die as we reach it, and this now gets very, very dicey. RealWavyNSaucy sends out Pidgeot. The opponent throws an awful timing, meaning they're only going to reach one move. Aqua Jet rocks us below half health. Corviknight re-enters the arena and instantly throws a charge move. RealWavyNSaucy puts up the final Protect Shield. He goes straight for the Air Cutter, fishing for a boost. Show me the boost! Ah, come on, they are so nicely as well. RealWavyNSaucy actually able to reach one further Air Cutter. And now I think we're very reliant on making a catch, although you're never really going to catch using a 4-turn move. The opponent hold their energy, sand attack farm us down, leaving with the charge move. And unfortunately this one ends in heartbreaking defeat. GG to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Scizor in the lead position. The opponent says no thank you, save switching into Jellicent, and Pidgeot hits the field of play. As long as we maintain alignment, we're going to have Scizor staring down our Volcanion, and I cannot wait to see how much the Incinerators do. I reckon 2's going to knock them out. We farms the Brave Bird, throw the Air Cutter, the opponent call the bait, but that's fine for us. We can just one shield now, fully Gust farm down, and leave with a whole heap of energy. If Scizor returns, they're likely going to give us a shield as well. We farm to the Brave Bird once again, bait with the Air Cutter. I think it's too risky for the opponent to call it. The opponent invests that Protect Shield. One Gust does monstrous damage, but not as much as this Incinerate will do. Unfortunately, the opponent transfer the Incinerate, send out Dragalge. Aqua Tail hits for neutral. We've seen we're glassy, but one is survivable. We're going to full send. Come on, trainer. You resist everything, I promise. Earth Power. Oh. Go shielded. RealWavyNSaucy pivots back out into Swampert. Swampert reaches the Hydro Cannon on what looks like to be a CMP tie. Where do we burn the final Protect Shield? RealWavyNSaucy thinking about it. The opponent lands the Outrage. The opponent then pivots out into Scizor to tank the Incinerate. We get Acid Farm down, but that was hella funny. Heading into the next battle. We see Jellicent in the lead position. We're ABA weak to this thing. If Swampert had Earthquake, we could hit for heavy neutral damage, but unfortunately, Sludge resisted by the Ghost type, and Water does resist itself. The opponent throw the Surf. We bank our energy, send out Pidgeot, baiting out Cradilly. Cradilly's usually applying very little fast move pressure, as until this season, they were all running Bullet Seed. Now it's kind of 50-50. This one opting for Acid that does hit for neutral. Acid's a very good move. It's now a Poison type clone of Shadow Claw. RealWavyNSaucy invests the Protect Shield, blocking up the Rock Tomb. Is a debuffed Air Cutter enough to knock out? Unfortunately it's not, and we're unable to farm down either. RealWavyNSaucy actually going to burn the final Protect Shield. We do leave with energy, back out comes Jellicent. We look to commit to the Brave Bird, but unfortunately get outpaced, and things are starting to look somewhat dire. How do we win this game? To be honest, Hydro Cannon's still going to chunk. Hydro Cannon, one of the best moves in the game, and Shadow Swampert hits hard. Potentially 2 Hydro Cannons knock them out. If the opponent no-shield both of these, and the opponent's got something like Scizor on the back, potentially we've got a chance here. Let's see, we fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon does remove Jellicent from the field of play. That is a Shadow Vic, but Vic able to survive 2 Incinerates. Can we survive a neutral Leaf Blade? No, we cannot. Swampert going to attempt the Mud Shot farm down. Vic now incredibly spammy, able to outpace to the Leaf Blade and take that game. In the next battle, we see a terrifying lead. Shadow Primate. We aggressively pivot out into Pidgeot. and our Pidgeot is finally hard punished by that Pokemon I have been fearing the entirety of the video, Dedenne. This is awful for us. The opponent farm up a boatload of energy before unleashing the parabolic charge, which will not only knock out Pidgeot, but also buff up their defense. RealWavyNSaucy waiting out his timer before sending out Swampert. A play rough will hurt. Where do we burn these shields? We probably respect this. Last second, we correctly shield up the play rough. The opponent then gives up switch, sending back out Primeape. Primeape going to be greeted with the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon forces our shield back. Even these mud shots are chunking. Primeape is so glassy. You see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent throw the Rage Fist. Swampert survives on fractional HP. And Volcanion hits the field of play. The opponent throws the Ice Punch. That is a double resisted move. What a strange play. Out comes Cradily, our win con. YOLO the nuke and it landing. Overheat. Go shielded. The opponent smartly opts to throw the Rock Tomb before we overheat him to the face. Rock Tomb easily picks up the knockout. Swampert on fractional HP reaches the Hydro Cannon, which the opponent catches back onto Dedenne. Super unnecessary, Mr. Opponent. I'm just kidding. We're just going to say GG's, and that just about wraps things up for today's Shoutcast. A huge thank you to my friend RealWavyNSaucy for sending in this battle footage of a Pokemon that is insanely hard to obtain. You've got a 2.3% chance when it gets its global release. So if you want to use this glass cannon yourself, I wish you the very best of luck. So if enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. Link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.